right. First and foremost, want to give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kapradash. Second, I want to give double honor to Apostle Jim Master Rule of Well, and a peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect, to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native American, West Indians, which is truth. This gospel, this ministry is given to you, starting with the hopeful elect. This is the Shakar Karal from GMS, Virginia, and Lord's will you be edified. As the title, people are on edge. I pulled up signs of mental illness on ChatGPT, and we pulled up some scriptures. Lord's will, this don't be too long. I got some other videos I want to put forth. So signs of mental illness, and as you can see, people are on the brink of crashing out. They're on edge. They're ready to lose it. Let me get this real quick so I can see what it says in the GNT. Make sure I get in there and OT that. Second Measures 9:1. He answered me and said, measure carefully in your mind. And when you see, and this is the NRS. Matter of fact, I take that back. I'm just going to get let me see what it says. So, and when you see that some of the predicted signs have occurred, then you will know that it is the very time when the Most High Power Yahweh is about to visit the world that He has made. You know, it's been a big illusion of wealth, vanity, folly, the American dream. You can read Sirach 34 about the dreams. You know, it's about it's been a fake altering of the mind to believe that this is heaven on earth underneath the so-called white man's rulership, and living in a shadow government, shadow puppet, elite ran system of the fake Jewish people, which conduct themselves in secret, like it tells you in the scripture. The things, the wickedness they do is in the dark. It's not a publicly, things are not publicly made. They put certain things on wax, but ultimately they come with different laws and legislations and wickedness to override the laws that they basically got on paper and got on Front Street. So what they do is they conduct and they bring forth pain, agony, problems, and situations which messes with your mind and put you on edge. And then they bring a solution, which is not good. And honestly, I'm gonna send. Let me see something. I'm gonna show this picture because, well, this is a video I took today. Let me see if I can find it. Bear with me one moment. Where you at? Bear with me one moment. All right, where this shit at? Come on, y'all. I need the videos. All right, here we go. So this is, I was riding. Hold on. Fuck. This is a must see. If you can see. Hopefully y'all can see. Damn. Hold on. This is definitely a 15-minute city being conducted right before everybody's eyes. And I wish I could. The view was more better. It's clear on the phone, but I guess it has a glare. But those are homes that's being built as we speak. As you can see how close those homes are to each other, and even in the backyard, there is basically the backyard is another house. And it has to be indeed a 15-minute city. So what Esau is doing, and it makes sense. All the governments, all the senators, the Senate, the branches of the higher ups, the elites, the Jewish, on down to the lowest branch of government is full of corrupt greed, bribery, and what Esau is doing. One thing that he did was demonize communism, and one thing that he did as well was give an illusion of a free, freedom, liberty, liberal um, um, system here in America, but ultimately it was all workers of iniquity, workers of darkness, and I'm gonna get that low as well. And the whole time where you thought you were free and liberal and had opinions, and your vote counts. You vote every year. The neighborhood council. You do this and you do that. They switch, and they don't allow nobody to rule for a period of time because your vote counts. It was all an illusion, and the whole time there was a smoke screen for them to pretty much bring in a communist new world order. And this is the state that we're in now. And this is the fact that people leaned upon Egypt, and trusted in Egypt, and especially our people, you trusted in oppression. This is the resort. So continuing on. So then, verse 3. So when there shall appear in the world earthquakes, tumult of peoples, intrigues of nations, wavering of leaders, confusion of princes, then you will know that it was of these that the Most High Power Yahweh spoke from the days that were of old, from the beginning. For just as with everything that has occurred in the world, the beginning is evident and the end is manifest. So also are the times of the Most High. The beginnings are manifested wonders and mighty works, and the end is penalties and in signs. So it shall be that all who will be saved and will be able to escape on account of their works or on account of the faith by which they have believed will survive the dangers that have been predicted, and will see my salvation in my land and within my borders, which I have sanctified for myself from the beginning. That's the Holy Land. And that's going to be ultimately when Yahweh Bashem Shah restores that land, and Yahweh Shah brings the real inhabitants of that land back in Jerusalem to rule and pretty much have a righteous heaven on this earth. So it says, and then those who have now abused my ways shall be amazed. And that's, that's the 2/3. And, it's not a coincidence why, Keisha is losing it now. The so-called the people are, well, I'll take that back. The nigger woman, you have a lot of our people that are now complaining and pretty much about to crash out, talking about if they don't get the Section 8, if they don't get the food stamps during on the first, the holidays, etc., they're going to crash out. So this just goes to show you, one thing for certain, we understand, the whole meaning of what even Section 8, foreign aid. Because look at what Esau did to the other nations, in that they pretty much so-called claim that they helped out. They gave them aid, and when they look up again, everything was so-called liberal, freedom. Their resources was gone, and the people was in fucking disarray. They were confused. They gave them some type of a form of democracy, and then everybody's in disarray. Everybody's on edge. Same thing here in America. This Section 8 welfare, food stamps. It created bad behavior, bad habits. It was a project, a study that was inducted on our people to pretty much destroy our people mentally and keep us our people dependent. Because ultimately, you Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native American, West Indians, you are supposed to be dependent, but on who? Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, not the so-called white man. But due to the curses and due to your unbelief, they pretty much this yes, it says the heathen that is amongst us shall be the head, and we shall be the tail. And the thing about it is, it has come to the point where instead of calling on your power, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, you call upon the so-called white man even more. So continuing on, then those second Esdras 9:9. Then those who have now abused my ways shall be amazed, and those who have rejected them with contempt shall live in torments. See, and this is what you're seeing, Jacob's trouble. Because Jacob's about to lose it. You got ice, the kingdom's catching hell, so the kingdom is catching hell. Esau is pretty much ready to drop this whole system and eradicate it and bring in a new infrastructure. And he's going to allow it to pretty much fester up and be a purge, and to the point where Esau is going to come with a new regimen, and you people are going to accept it. And how we know? The JAB. So when Esau allows this place to crumble and go in all complete hell and disarray, he's going to come with another program. So it says, for as many as did not acknowledge me in their lifetime, though they received my benefit. So pretty much, Esau allowed you, he gave you gifts, he gave you dainties, he allowed you to get good jobs. He allowed the so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics to look even surpassed the fucking wicked. Meaning, he allowed you niggas to get Porsches, fancy cars, mansions, the limelight, media attention, passes, pardons, etc. But look what our people did. They took it. They ran with it, and then they got big-headed. They got proudful, more proudful than the devil himself. And as many as scorned my law while they still had freedom and did not understand but despised it, while an opportunity of repentance, Sirach, the 5th chapter, was still open to them, these must in torment acknowledge it after death. Therefore, do not continue to be curious about how the ungodly will be punished, but inquire how the righteous will be saved. So, it's going to be a lot of people that's going to perish, and you're going to start to see it in these days to come. Trump haven't even been in office a whole year, and look what he's he's shaking people up. So signs of mental illness. This is in Chat GPT. Mental illness can manifest in very variety of ways and signs. And like the scripture says, death is better than continual sickness. And the signs vary depending on the specific conditions of severity in the individual. However, these are common warnings that may indicate someone is experiencing a mental issue. And the so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, Native American, West Indians, they're suffering this. You Edomites and these other nations too, but mainly, this gospel, this ministry is for our people. I thought you leave it to Jake. Jake was about to, get the bag. They was rich. They were, winning. They wasn't losing. Jake didn't want to hear no negativity. They were manifesting. But so what's going on? So it says emotional and mood changes, prolonged sadness or irritability. And our people, you can see it on their face. You can see it on their countenance. Extreme mood swings, highs and lows. Excessive fear, worry, or anxiety. That's a lot. Our people, that's, a big thing going on with our people. They're worried. They anxiety, etc. Feelings of hopelessness or helplessness. And see a lot of reasons why our people are feeling this way, because we even you can look up on Google life skills and skills that are important for men and women to know. And one thing is what is it? Self-control. And a lot of our people, due to the fact that our people have been given so much aid, good jobs. Because one thing for certain, man, it never fails. Especially when our people get good jobs, get go into the military, or be able to move from the ghetto, whatnot, or move out of a bad situation. They pretty much move into the so-called white neighborhood, a suburb area, and pretty much think everything's going to be okay. You're around Edomites. You got the white picket fence. You got the 2-level house, whatever. You're middle class, so I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to teach my kids. I can baby my kids. I can give my kids what I didn't have. I didn't have it when I was growing up, so I'm going to give my kids this and all that. A bunch of bullshit. So, due to the fact that our people pretty much the dainties of this society has blinded them. The fact that our people didn't teach their kids or teach them, and their parents didn't teach them, self-control, etc. This is what's plaguing our people. So now when the feelings, basically the heat is on, like DMX, now, the heat is in the kitchen. Our people don't know how to conduct themselves. They don't know how to act. And one thing for certain, I never really understood how Jake forgot. Nigga, we've always been fucking poor. So it says too, cognitive, and thought disturbances. It says confused thinking or difficulty concentrating, paranoia or mistrust of others. Scripture says, love of many shall wax cold. Delusions, false beliefs not based in reality. And Colossians 2:8. Our people are full of delusion, hallucination, seeing or hearing things that aren't there, behavioral changes. This is 3, withdrawal from social activities. A lot of people are. So withdrawal from friends or family. Ain't nobody close with each other. Nobody is tight. Me and the brothers be speaking on that. In the 90s, you saw men, more wolf packs, and you saw more women had friends. One thing we all remember, if you knew a chick or you knew somebody that knew a chick, you would be like, yo, see, she got some friends. Back in the day, girls hung with each other and they were cool with each other. Nowadays, women don't do that. Women don't got no friends. So it's a changes in sleeping patterns, and a lot of people not getting no sleep, no rest. And a lot of people have to drink themselves to sleep, do drugs to go to sleep, or take some type of form of Edomite pill to go to sleep. Insomnia or sleeping too much. Changes in appetite or weight. A lot of people are gaining weight. Changes in appetite. A lot of people are binge eating at night. Chips, high consumption of sugary drinks, soda, cookies, ice cream, neglecting responsibilities or personal hygiene, dreadlocks. A lot of people stink. A lot of people, they just roll out of the bed and just leave on the pajamas, the Crocs, whatever, and you can just see they just prolong their day. A lot of people, they just put on a hoodie. It'd be hot as hell. They just put on a hoodie. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, men would take care of their hair, women would take care of their hair. You would put on something nice before you left the house, and even your parents conducted you to do so, or you got an ass whooping, or something was said. But not no more. Neglecting responsibilities. Nobody has responsibilities. Kids, adults. You're basically obligated to how you feel, or what you pretty much think is right. Increased use of substances like alcohol or drugs. Come on, that's self-explanatory. Everybody's on something. 4, physical symptoms with no clear medical cause. Unexplained aches and pains. Fatigue or low energy, restlessness. 5, suicidal thoughts or self-harm. Talking or writing about death or suicide. You can take that as people sitting in their cars, crashing out. Engaging in risky or self-destructive behavior. And that's what a lot of people are doing these days. self-injury, cutting, burning, you put tattoos in there, um, them piercings, etc. So, these people are not living too good. These people are not living too good at all. Um, it says what common mental disorders and their unique signs: depression, um, anxiety disorders, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, OCD, PTSD, eating disorders, and this is all signs of mental illness. And then when you come across a lot of people here in America, this is what they clearly show. They're just not in tune. You can read 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter. But I'm going to wrap this thing up. Those who've edified with that, say shalom.